My name is Mr Akomolafe. I'm currently the Cheif Information Officer for WEMA BANK. So I studied computer science at OAU, from OAU 95. But to be honest, when I left school, I had no clue what I wanted to do. You know, I really want to study computer science. I wanted to study mathematics, but got into uni to study mathematics. I ended up in computer science. Maybe my dad is a lecturer, my mom was a teacher, so they just felt if this clown studies mathematics, what's he going to be? Probably end up teaching maths in one mushroom school. So I got moved to computer science, left school, and to be honest, when I left school, I had no clue. I just breezed through uni, managed to get a 2-2. I could have done better, but maybe I had other distractions. And I was lucky. I ended up at Chevron to do my youth service. And for 3 months, I was basically just carrying computers up and down. Then they transferred a particular man from the US office to the Lagos office. And the man looked at me and was like, oh, you studied computer science from OAU. You should be doing better things. And basically, it's like they throw you into the deep end of the pool and you don't know how to swim. So there was a project going on then, and he just said, get on with building these systems and preparing these hard drives for the project. So that's how it started. There's some really good guys working there. So they actually took me back to school, you know, and I owe them a lot, you know. They're like just tutoring me from the start again. So that's where the journey actually started from. So these days you have people just jumping into tech, but we started from doing user support and going through the ropes. And the British Council journey was a funny one. So I saw an advert in the papers that they were looking for. They called it Customer Service Officer Internet Services. So they had a floor in the Abuja office where they just had computers and people come in to browse, do research and things like that. So they needed someone to provide support for people using the computer. So that was what I applied for. So went through the process, went for interviews and all that. And they came back saying, oh, sorry, we can't take this further. And people kept asking me what happened. And I kept telling them that, oh, they said I was overqualified. And they'll call me when they have something that suits my qualification. Like 2 weeks after that, I got a mail that I should come back for another interview. So I guess someone had just resigned who was the IT administrator, and this role was a step, I think it was a step higher than the role I actually applied for. So I did an interview on in fact, I borrowed the suit I wore to that interview from a friend. Did the interview on a Tuesday, and I had to resume in Abuja on Friday. So I got the job, ended up in Abuja. So did that for about 5 years. But I always had this thing to move to the office in the UK, but I wasn't pursuing it extensively. Did some applications, got rejected. So 2004, I worked on a project. So I was basically reporting to the UK office, but my manager was in South Africa. So I wasn't working for the Nigerian office for a year. We're doing some rollouts and changes all over the world. It was fun, traveled everywhere for a whole year. So after that, another advert came out, and I really didn't apply for it. So the recruiting manager, who was part of that project, called me and said, oh, we've not seen your application. And I'm like, I didn't apply. Oh, go apply. This was a day before the application closed. So I applied, and long story short, I got the job. So I moved to the UK, October 2006. My son was just over a year old, and my daughter was 3 weeks old. So I got the job. I was waiting for my wife to give birth. The minute she could travel, we went off. Then the other journey started. So when I got to the UK, I had certain aspirations. I would work for a big bank. Then I would come back to Nigeria at a maybe senior position and do that for a while, then go back. So British Council for about 5 years. Then I moved to some organization called Yorkshire Building Society. It's the second largest building society in the UK. So I did just core IT work for a while. Then I moved into security. That's IT security now. Then from there, moved to controls, assurance. It's when you define how things should, when you build controls into systems, check that those controls are in place, they're not being breached and things like that. So I moved to Yorkshire Building Society. From there, I moved to Barclays Bank. Remember I said I wanted to work for a big bank in the UK. So from Barclays, I now started thinking, I think it's time to come back home. And I started applying I saw some roles at CBN and all that, nothing. Then this WEMA BANK opportunity came up to come set up the information security department then. So I applied, end of 2015, got the role. Came back to Nigeria January 2016. So it's going to be 10 years in a few weeks, January next year. So this journey started. So I came in, set up the information security department, did that till October 2021. So I moved into the Cheif Information Officer role. Now that's the role that heads the whole of technology. And that's what I've been doing since then. So that's the journey. I talked about British Council. So I'd done some certifications. So when they needed to recruit for that other role, they decided not to go back to the market and start looking for CVs. So they went through the CVs they had and looked for the person that had the qualifications they were looking for. So if I didn't have those qualifications, I wouldn't get that call back. So I had those qualifications. The same thing with the British Council. If I didn't work on that project, right? If I didn't apply to work on that project, the guys in the UK probably won't know that, oh, this guy is actually, because what used to happen then is you have issues to resolve. They just send someone from the UK and the guy just does what he wants to do and leaves, right? I remember they sent some guy once who later became a good friend, and he told me so we had the first meeting before the job started, and he said I should go do something very mundane. And I looked at him and I said, if I call any clown on the street of Abuja and teach them how to do this, they'll do it all over Abuja. Like, we need to work on this together. So you also need to have that level of, don't let me call it arrogance, but bravery to be able to, understand what you're worth here, and you're able to put it out there that, look, I'm not taking that from you, So you need to be prepared, right? So it's not just about saying, oh, you're speaking something into existence or you're praying something into existence. You need to do the work. So when that opportunity comes, you will have the right, maybe qualifications and all that for them to even consider you. So that opens the door for you to now come tell them what you're worth. So it's about being prepared at every opportunity, and bringing that back to advice. Something I used to do there, when I'm thinking of a role, I go on LinkedIn, I start checking the qualifications, people that are currently in that role, the sort of qualifications they have, and I start, preparing towards that. You remember when Otedola released his book? There was a lot of conversation around how he didn't really go to school and all that. And people keep mentioning the likes of Bill Gates and these other guys. But we forget something, that yes, there is a story of people that actually don't come from, what do they call them? Privileged backgrounds. And they also didn't go to school and they made it. But in the environment we're in, education is extremely key. Because it's that leap that sort of also gives you the confidence that I can scale this poverty line. You know, I have a formal education. Certain doors will be open. It's not cast in stone that would be it. A lot of people have education and they don't have jobs. There are loads of people that didn't go to school. But if you look at the numbers and they do some percentages and all that, you realize that the guys that have a formal education would still be a step, especially in these environments we are in. So that was what informed that post. Because sometimes when we keep pushing these things out there, it confuses a lot of people. Well, Otedola made it, another Otedola's dad was a governor. You know, so this guy, Bill Gates, was in, I think, Harvard or whatever. His dad was in a pauper, you know. So they had something, there's a safety net for them. If this doesn't work, I'll go back home. I took a Uber once in the UK and the guy was driving a Bentley. So I engaged him. Wow, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. He started some businesses, then it failed. He went back home. He's just driving this Bentley, pending when he'll start something else. Now, if it was someone else that failed at starting up something and didn't have a place to go back to, but if he had some education, he could get a job, you know, and start building from there. So that was what informed that post. Another one about certificates and actual experience. So what you see today is you have a lot of people that just study to get a certificate. People use brain dumps. So brain dumps are when people that have taken those exams, they come back and dump the questions and answers, and people can go pick those and just cram them for some exams and just go to the exam hall and dump it there and they have a certificate. But at the end of the day, when you engage them at interviews and things like that, you realize that the depth of knowledge is lacking. Because there's certain things, especially in the tech space, you need to have done it to understand. You can't just read it, and if you meet someone that understands and they start drilling down into your knowledge, they'll realize that it's all fluff. You know, so it's important to go through the process. You know, it might not even be a formal job. Go for some training that gives you the hands-on experience. You know, back in the day, we all wanted to do a Chevron. If not for the man that came from the UK, I could have been in Chevron for a whole year without learning anything. I'll just be carrying computers up and down. I'm mentoring staff boss, and everyone feels he's working in Chevron, you know. And a lot of people also got lost into that. I had colleagues then that they spent like 5 years trying to get back into Chevron as a permanent staff and wasted those 5 years, you know. So that experience is important, especially, well, for me in the field I'm in. You know, you can't just get a paper and say, oh, I'm now a senior security analyst or a senior tech person. And you also see people, they're in an organization for 5 years and they get the title senior consultant. What experience do you have? You know, then when they go engage people, you realize the senior in front of your title is not what it should be. So really every day is a blessing and you're just trying to be a better person every day. You learn from your own mistakes, you learn from others. When you start building a family, seriously, no one should tell you to be more responsible. You have bills to pay, you have people to take care of. So I don't think there's a point where you say you woke up one day and it's like, oh, now I'm a man. You've been a man from day one. You've just been under people's, so your parents would guide you up to a point. Then you now step in. Maybe you left school, you're staying with some family, maybe your older sister or brother or whatever. Then you now end up alone. So we can even start from there. So the first time you're living alone. In fact, some people, the first time I started making money, all I wanted to do was eat like 3 pieces of meat, because no one ever gave me 3 pieces of meat. I'm like, this is my pot of stew. I'm gonna eat all these meat in there, you know. But you just realize there's certain things you start defining the sort of friendships you want to have, right? And that's also very important. Okay, what impact is this person having in my life? You would have different types of friends and you categorize them. The ones you party with, the ones you discuss serious stuff with. It's not everyone you discuss your family problems with, you know, or your relationships and things like that. So I think unconsciously, God helping you, you just start saving things and, oh, this I don't want, this I can handle, you know. And every day you just try to be a better man. No one is Jesus Christ, seriously. The biggest pastors, imams, or whatever in this world, they make mistakes and, you know, but everyone is just trying to, every day, just be better than you were the day before. That's my own approach, right? It's not about how many chapters or verses of the Bible you know. Again, it's about how you interact with people. How do you treat the other person, you know? And that's important for me. So that there was no point that, oh, now I'm a man. I still want to be playful. In fact, I still want to be a kid, because this stress of being a man is killing, you know. But if you bog yourself down thinking too much about it and saying, now I'm a man, you're carrying all the problems in the world on your head, and you basically just wake up one day and your heart just stops beating and you're dead. So I don't box anything into, on this particular day, I knew I was ready to be a man. No, it's a gradual process. You're still, every day you learn, right? I like to read about people. Why does Putin think the way he thinks? What's driving Elon Musk? You know, why do we think Obama has a perfect life? You never know. No, one day someone would open a can of worms and you'll be wondering, oh, this person I thought had a perfect life. Look at him. So it's about you. When you stand in front of the mirror and you look at yourself and you ask those questions. Am I better than I was yesterday? What did I do yesterday? Did I impact anybody's life? Did I make someone smile? You know, so you need to find what gives you joy, and no one can make you happy, as they say. They say a woman is in a loveless relationship, but does she have love to give? So if you don't love yourself, no one is going to come give you that love. So at the end of the day, it starts with self. So you need to constantly, it's not about being selfish. You need to keep checking yourself, and that helps you to interact with other people. Seriously, like I said, it's down to you. You can choose to be defined by what the society says, or you choose to just live your life. And you can't, the society is there. There's things you need to be aware of. But how does it define who you are? like I said, you need to take learnings from other people and be able to save what you're learning and, take the one that applies to you. And, you can sit in this country and complain every day about the government. But in this same country, people are starting businesses. They're making money, they're taking care of their family. But some other people have chosen to just keep complaining. I live in Manchester. There are loads of different types of people that you would meet. So if we keep saying society defines who we are, why do we go to these places and most times we're taking just the good out of those places and leaving the bad? But if the society defines you, then you should just swallow everything society gives to you and you're just a madman roaming the streets. So it comes back to you. And we all need to maybe thank our parents for the sort of background they've given us. Because really all they can do is just tell you be a good person and all that. They're just planting that seed. Then when you're growing up, you are allowing that seed to germinate. You'll never forget those things. It's there. It's possible you are not even listening there. You're just being a trend all over the place, but it's there and it's growing and it keeps growing up in you. You're building yourself up. You're looking at the society and you're saying, okay, why do people write biographies, autobiographies? Why do people want to read them? No one is going to pick a book about a madman and read. We all want to read about successful people. Why? Because there's an aspiration to also be successful and make something out of your life. Now, there are bad people in the society too that have just decided, I'm going this way. But if you also think about it, the reason they've gone that way is because they want to make something out of their life. But they've gone about it the wrong way. There's also peer pressure. I remember I said, well, when you're growing up, you start, this particular friend, maybe all he wants to do is just party and all that. You start, pruning and removing certain things from your life. Not like you discard those friends. You still chill and hang out and all that, but you know when to say no, when to say yes. God helping you. So I was raised at a point where parenting was, let's say easier. Well, maybe you're able to, and the environment. So I grew up in a university community. Everyone knew everybody. You are not just thinking about your parents when you're taking certain actions. You're thinking about the other person's parents, your older brother's friend. What's this person going to do if they see me? But these days you have I raised my kids in the UK. They're more independent-minded, the way they're brought up. So you have to, strike a balance. Back in the day, you do anyhow, you see anyhow, you chop slap. These kids, you can't try that. So there has to be, okay, how do you interact with them? And that's where it comes back to what I was saying about you saying you are now a man. And you start behaving like an authority because you are a man. With these kids these days, you need to be able to interact with them, understand the things they're going through, and make sure you're at a point where they can come to you and you can discuss with them. But if you're saying, I'm a man, I'm the head of the house like our fathers did, you'll get it all wrong because the times have changed. Things are different. So you can't use the same sticks they used to mold you, to mold these kids. So you need more prayer now than then, So I always leave everything with, there's no There's no perfect parent. We all just try every day and pray that when they go out there, because they actually spend more time outside than they spend with you. In their formative years, you've tried to put certain things, certain values and all that. But you also pray that the sort of people they meet out there, the friends they interact with, make sure they're not in the wrong hands. Could have brought your own kids up well, but then they go out there and they're just with a group of people. We've seen people that, take a UK example, they're just with friends, they enter into a supermarket and maybe one or two of the guys in that group steal something and the cops come and they pack everybody, So sometimes you put your own, you try to instill values and all that. And you pray that external factors don't derail the things you've done and the effort you've put in. It's a lot of work, in my own opinion, for parents these days. Too many exposures, social media, everyone has a phone. You can see anything on the phone. Too many influences and influencers, as they call themselves. Everyone has an opinion about everything, and it's all out there. They have too much information to take in. We should feel sorry for them, because how are they dealing with all this load of information that is just coming to them? You go on the internet and there's just so much to consume. So you are telling them something, they're reading something else, Where is that balance? So these kids need a lot of prayers. So
even these days, even as adults also, we are faced with similar challenges.
We're consuming too much information. It's affecting everybody.
So how does prioritization come in and setting your values and boundaries?
For me, I don't know, maybe over the years I've just, maybe at this age I'm 53. If I don't know what to consume and what not to consume, then I've got issues. But we've all gone through that process, I guess it's just to understand what you focus on and what's important for you. Some of us are lucky that we're too busy doing the work we're responsible for. And to be honest, sometimes you don't even have time to start doing other things. You get home and you just want to crash sometimes. So all those distractions are, reduced for you. But for a growing adult, you still want to go out there with your friends and all that. There's a lot, You have kids, there's a lot they're consuming. We're too busy with what we call important things. And like you said, maybe I'll now use the word being a man. It gets to a point you're thinking about your kids. And if people ask me today what my biggest concern is to ensure that my kids can stand on their own. That's when I say job done. One is out of uni next year. The prayer is he gets a job, a well-paying job, and he starts living his own life. Then you still guide and, but that's the joy of the parent when you can look, I think I've done what the Lord has sent me to do and I can live my life, So it's a lot out there for these kids. For adults, come on. You call yourself an adult, you call yourself a man. You should be able to save what's right from what is wrong. You still have adults talking anyhow. The current episode of Obasanjo and Fayose. You'll think they would handle those things better. Well, we all make mistakes. We grab a mic and we just love to say a lot of things. But I'm sure when they get back home and they're thinking about those things, they say, I shouldn't have done that, I shouldn't have done that. That's what makes a man. Being able to also evaluate and say, I was at fault there. And when you take it a step further and even call that person and say, I'm sorry about that and all that, that's what makes a man. There's no point when you take something off. I'm now a man. I can start working and saying I'm the man. It's just a learning process every day. So as the mentee, there are bodies today that provide mentors in different fields. So you need to understand what you want. And there are different aspects to it. So for example, someone can come to me and say, oh, you're in quotes, you're a leader in tech or in cybersecurity. I'm just starting. I want you to guide me through that process. Guiding you through that process could be the sort of certifications to take. The mentor can guide on, I saw this job advert, I think you'll be a good fit for it. You could go a step further in environments like this. I know the CIO of that bank. I can talk to him on your behalf. It depends on, and I think the mentor takes his energy from the mentee. So if someone comes to me and says, I would like you to mentor me, but I don't see anything coming from you, I'm not going to be the one driving you. I can guide and whatever, but if you are showing the energy, then I'm also pushed to, do a lot more. So mentees should understand what they want and look for people in that field. I have people send me messages on LinkedIn, people I don't know from Adam. I would like you, this is what I intend to do. I would like you to guide me through this process and all that. If I feel I want to, then I would. Then if I see the same energy from the person, then can start taking them through that process and, hopefully they get to a point where they can also move on with their life. But a lot of people talk about the mentor-mentee relationship. Some people think it's just me drawing from this person. It's both ways. So I would draw my energy from you, and you would get some things out of that. But if you just come and you believe I'm just going to keep coming to take, then at some point I'm going to get tired. If I'm giving and giving, I'm the one coming up with all the ideas. Go check that, do this, do that. And it becomes a one-way relationship, which shouldn't be. And I think that's a mistake some people make about this whole process. Someone can also be your mentor from afar. You don't know the person, you're just watching how he lives his life. You might not know him deeply, but from what you just want to, I love how that guy looks. He dresses in a particular way. I want to, I go for events. I like the way that guy speaks. I want to, So you start. A lot of people have never met Obama, but they'll say, Obama is my mentor. I learned from him. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that I know this person and I'm going to this person. It could be someone you look up to. If they've written any books, you've gone to read their books and you're just following their growth. A lot of people today, they're following Elon Musk. It's crazy, but he's coming up with loads of innovative stuff. And they just want to do things like the way he's doing it. Not necessarily at the same level, but in their own little space, they're thinking up ideas and coming up with ideas and building things, So that's another form of mentorship. But most people want that direct one-on-one, which is available. The organizations you can register today with that would provide mentors and guide people. For some people, their pastors are their mentors, and you have people that those pastors also, teach them. They open doors for them, can introduce them to people. But I'm sure they also draw their energy from the mentees. Because if you don't, what's that thing Yoruba says? Omotoba shipa. So if a little child does like that, the mom would carry. But if it doesn't, then you know. So I have people I respect. Nigeria, I respect Dangote a lot. What he has done, what he has achieved. You know, everyone feels, oh, he's got a monopoly, I've got a monopoly, but it's not the one that had the access. It's not the only one. Other people have the same access, but what did they use it for? You know, there's a video going around where I think it was in Zambia. So they were all introducing themselves. Oh, I'm director, this Dangote, this Dangote. When it got to Dangote, he just said, good afternoon, Mr. President. My name is Aliko Dangote. Ma'am, if you know, you know. If you don't know, that's your problem. So those are the sort of things I listen to. I'm like, you know, it's built, that name is a brand. And it's built it over the years. You know, there was also one where, I can't remember where they were. I think it was one of those kings in the Middle East. And Trump was greeting all of them. Dangote was there. So when he greeted Dangote, he leaned into the king and the lip readers read his lips and he was like, how is that? So that one said, that's the richest black man in the world. He shook him again. You know, those are the sort of people you know, so it's not, got these, I've never met him personally, but you also have those people, you look at their life and what they've done over the years, you just respect them. And no controversies, no scandals, you know. Look at Obama. And these are people talk about, and you know, say I'm not calling pastors, but I also respect pastors. You look at someone like Reverend Adeboye, his humility and the way he carries himself. You know, so there's certain things you look out for in people as a person. The minute you're too arrogant and whatever, you just look at certain qualities in people. For me personally, so I won't say exactly, oh, that person is my mentor or whatever. I have people that also helped me along the way, and I respect them. So it's about respecting people, different people that have influenced your life or certain decisions you've had to take in life. And that's it for me. So not really, I don't think there is any books that, I read different things. I read fiction. I read lots of books that talks to the job I do. I think that's important. You need to keep developing yourself. I always want to, there's certain people, I would read a book about Dangote and how he's grown his business and all that. Someone gave me a $10 book, but I've not read it. Don't know why. Maybe you would have to cut these off.
Definitely.
It doesn't inspire me that much, but that's just me. I think I've read all of Obama's book, but I've not read the last one. It's like 800 pages. I'm like, why should I be reading 800 pages of someone else's life? So I have it, but I've not started it yet. I'm not going to read about Trump. I have one on Putin. He's an interesting guy. I want to understand why he does things the way he does. It's also good to try and understand, you know, these controversial people. There's a reason behind that madness, you know. So maybe that's how curious I can be. So why is this person behaving the way he's behaving? Very unpopular opinion in Nigeria. I kind of liked Abacha's style. Maybe that's what we need in this country. You know, maybe a benevolent Abacha that loves the country, and you need to cut that off too. Don't let them come carry me. I'm like, you know, so the knowledge you have about whatever it is you want to lead people on, because they have to also draw their strength from you. You know, if you come across as not knowing, then it's going to be a bit difficult, right? So if your knowledge is respected, then I think it makes it a lot easier. That's one. Then what's important really is your people skills. And it's something, even at this level, that I'm learning to, because sometimes I could be, because of the sort of job I do, I could be a bit brash when I need to get things done fast, you know, and you're just out there screaming at people, but it's because there's a requirement for something to be done at that point. You know, we serve customers, and when there are things to be done, you need to do it fast, you know, so you know, you have to use those different skills at different times. And at times you have to like be a father and draw everyone together, smile. Sometimes I just step out of my office and just walk the floor, high five, just gisting with people generally. Just making them comfortable. That guy in there is not that madman that was screaming his head off yesterday. So there has to be the right balance, because people are going through different things. A man steps into the office, you don't know what's happening at home, and you're there screaming at the guy. But you also can't solve everybody's problem or know what's going through everybody's head or mind. You have your own issues too, but you still need to turn up and get the job done, you know. So I just try to draw the right balance, you know, ensure people are comfortable around you. They respect and appreciate you. There's something I tell my guys: tech is a very, very thankless job. I'll explain why. So if you open your bank app and it works, you don't care what's running behind it. But the minute there's a problem, you know, you're screaming and calling the bank, and it's the same thing internally. When everything is working, no one thinks about the tech guy. Those guys are doing their job. But the minute something breaks, everybody is screaming, you guys are never doing anything, you're not serious, blah, blah, blah. So I tell my guys, it's a thankless job, but just focus and ensure that you're giving your best every day. At the end of the day, you get paid, you know, and you get rewarded at some point. But just put in your best. When you have those little blips and there's a lot of anger going around and people screaming, just know that's what it is. You know, you also need to come in at that point, and you know, when everyone is, you need to be there to calm things down. So you also need to have a clear head to focus and try and understand what the issues are and resolve the issues. So like I said, every post stems from something that's happened. So the one about leadership, and so you see these days that there are loads of organizations giving out awards. So top 20, whatever in the world, top whatever in the world. But what impact has that person made in that field? People pay for these things actually, you know, but that was what caused that, that led to that post that I made. So I think people should focus more. People should focus more on, especially in this field we're working on, doing the job than this social media. I'm out there, might be an unpopular opinion, but I think there's still a lot more for us to do if we start focusing and focusing and improving the systems we work with, and all this being out there and always on social media. That's just and I think on that post I said unpopular opinion. Yeah, a lot of people don't like it, but it's what it is. There's a lot of, I also get invitations to a lot of this, come speak, come do this. And sometimes I'm thinking, what time do people actually have to do their jobs if they're always out there doing these things? So that was what led to that particular one. But my post was just about when it gets too much. At what point do you draw the line? How many engagements do you want to have in a month to put yourself out there? And what sort of organizations are you actually having these engagements with? So you can put yourself out there and maybe once a month and it's really significant. Or you're there every other week and it's every mushroom. Anyone that calls you, you're out there. Anyone that calls you, you're out there. But maybe you have to do that to get the impactful ones. I don't know. I don't like public speaking that much, so well, that's just me. A lot of people are easy with it. They can do like 10 a week. As long as it's not impacting their day job, who am I to complain? Yeah, so that statement, it wasn't mine. People say it is. Most times people hide their inefficiencies under the noise they make. So when we're all in a room and everyone is loud and loud and loud, sometimes we don't get to it sometimes becomes a talk show. You're not solving any problem. Everyone is just saying what they feel, and we still leave the problem on the table. So we're doing 1-hour meetings, and at the end of the day, we're actually not getting any results because everyone is sounding very brilliant and, but we need to take a step back and, okay, what exactly are we trying to solve it? So when someone is screaming, there has to be someone that is, okay, yes, they said a lot, but what are the important things that is dealing with the issue we're actually trying to address? So I guess that was about a lot of things I've seen over the years, it wasn't about a particular incident. I think I was actually watching a movie and there was something, if I remember, it was a courtroom. And someone was actually quite loud, but not adding any value to the case at hand. So someone on the same, I think it was the defense team, someone on the same team just said like a few words, and that was what triggered the resolution to the case. So that was what brought about that post. I just started thinking about other events, outside of work, at work, and all that, and that's why I put up that post there. There's something I tell, not exactly my words, that I tell when we have new people coming in. So I tell them people have different faiths, right? Things they believe in. What I say is, let your approach to your job be part of your worship to God. So when you're working and okay, there's a being I believe in, whether you're a Muslim, Christian, traditionalist, or whatever, that I respect. If that person smiles on how I'm doing this job, then the reward will eventually come. So let the way you approach your job, the commitment you put in, be part of your worship to God. I guess a word to the younger generation. protect what matters. Be very curious, but keep learning. And self-discipline is extremely important. So, the journey with TBR, I guess like every other person, it was introduced by someone. I think I got my first two, you guys call it kaftans, right? Yeah, I got it free, and it was perfect, you know. And the funny thing, I was talking to the trip before that, my brothers came in from America. He made some stuff, you guys made some stuff for them. I was talking to my brother this morning, was telling me that everywhere he goes to, it's like, what he's wearing is very unique. That I think is coming in December. When he comes in, he needs you guys to make him some more. So I guess that's a testament to how good what TBR is doing or has done is. And now that he has dwelled into blazers, you are not cutting these off. That is charging me an arm and a leg for. They're really nice. I love them. The pants they're really nice also. So good job. Keep it up.